So I felt like in order for me to separate myself from the other people that are out there just teaching the game of golf, I guess it was time for me to give college a try. For the first time, seriously. I had never really been to school like that. I've been working, chasing dream for all these years. I had no idea what I was getting myself into at that time. So here we are now in 2008, and I am a 45-year-old man going over to St. Petersburg College in Tarpon Springs, Florida, talking to the admissions advisor about becoming a freshman. Well, after I'd taken a series of little small entrance exams, they could see that I could actually put sentences together. I could actually write. I had some brains in my head, but I wasn't very good at math. All this algebra and stuff, forget about it. I didn't know anything really about it. So I was weak in math, but as far as my putting pronunciations together and sentences and word associations, ideas, I was pretty strong with that. So I enrolled in college. I took 2 classes, started out taking 2 classes. World religion and English. I guess it was like basic English, college English 101. Thus, my college career began in August of 2008 at St. Petersburg College. Well, after I got 2 A's in that class, I thought, that's interesting. Maybe I'm on to something here. I don't know. So I took more classes. At one time, I was taking 5 to 6, 18 credit hours. In the summer, I was taking all these classes, all kinds of different classes. But mostly, I was taking these psychology classes. Abnormal psychology. I was taking adolescent psychology. Of course, I started out with the Psych 101. But I was taking all of any psychology class they had, I took. And that was, that had to be 6 to 7 psych classes. Developmental psychology, anything I could get my hands on as far as psychology, I did. It was all fascinating to me. So here we are, and we're about 2 years, I'm almost 2 years into this thing. And I thought, that's right. I sent in an application to the University of Alabama. I grew up in Alabama, of course, and with this man right here, Coach Bryant, and even met the man in the early 70s. There's his autograph right there. And I thought, I don't believe they're going to let me in this. I mean, because University of Alabama, state school, this is for teenage kids, right? I mean, this is for young people. They're not going to let somebody like me. And I mean, I'm 47 years old. They're not going to let me on campus. I knew nothing about any of the programs that they had, but I learned what they did have. And you know what they said? Come on in. We'd love to have you. So I moved back to Birmingham, moved back to Tuscaloosa. And I guess it was the fall of 2010, I walked into a statistics class at the great University of Alabama. I was the only person over the age of 20 in that class. And I am 47 years old. And you know what I did? I sat down right in the middle of that class, started talking to all the young kids around me, and they welcomed me with open arms. It was an odd thing, and I just laid it out for them. What am I doing there? Why am I there? And they didn't laugh at me, or they didn't do it to my face. They welcomed me, and it was a great experience. And that's why I love the University of Alabama. I really do. It was just an awesome, awesome time as a man and as a student. I loved every minute of it. While I was there, I was a psych major, of course. But some of the deeper psych classes, they were interesting to me, but then they wanted me to go down a specific path. And I wasn't interested in taking all these statistics courses, right? Fundamental methods and all that crap. I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in sport psychology. And now I had a name for the discipline. I now knew what the name of the discipline was. The problem was, Alabama did not have a sports psychology track. They had sport management, they had school psychology, all of that. But in the kinesiology department, they didn't, like a lot of schools, they'll have the sports psych in the kinesiology department. Alabama did not have anything like that. Now they would have the psychology of coaching and issues with athletic coaching, but they were in the kinesiology department, sports science. But as far as a sports psychology class, they didn't have it. And I didn't really have any interest in being a psychology major. I wanted to do my own thing. So in my senior year, I transferred out of the psychology department and into something called the New College, which really was for adult students that could take a online class and then take campus-based classes as well. It was great. But the thing that I really wanted to do was study sports psychology. And then they had a 6-credit ending project called the senior project, which was an undergrad thesis that I could research anything I wanted to do. And that's exactly what I did. And the thing that was most interesting to me, and I go all the way back to 1988, 1989, was a thing called self-talk, self-communication. The way I spoke to myself in those years, if someone else had been talking to me that way, I'd have slapped them right in the mouth. But I was so hard on myself, it was no wonder. It's no wonder that I didn't have the kind of success that I wanted to, because I was so negative and so critical of myself that it created such anxiety, which then turned around, the anxiety then caused stress because of the expectation I'd put on myself. And with that kind of huge expectation, no one is going to succeed. It's too much pressure because it's like a do or die situation. That's what I wanted to get down and dirty into, and I did, and they let me do it, and it was the most wonderful experience of all of my college career. So here I go. I had, for my undergraduate research project, I had contacted several professors that had programs that I was interested in sports psychology graduate programs. Well, this project was going to help me get into graduate school. At least that's what I thought. And I think I was right. So I demonstrated that A, I could research, and B, I knew how to write. And then once they knew that I was interested in what they were researching, then I felt as if they would have me into their graduate program. Yes, I was right, but mainly I was wrong. And I'll explain that right now. So one of my psychology advisors gave me a book to read called Getting In. One of the biggest wastes of money about how to get into graduate school. And one of these days I'm going to do a vlog on how to get into graduate school. Read the book. It said go ahead and apply to 9 to 12 and make them like your top 4, then the medium 4, then the bottom 4 that'll be the last choices right here. So I did. I applied to 12 different graduate programs, but I made a mistake. I applied to every one of their PhD programs or their PsyD programs. Either way, I applied to their doctoral programs. Big mistake. Got turned down by 9 different colleges, and I graduated the University of Alabama, summa cum laude, number 1 in my class. I was the commencement speaker, and you would have thought that I would have been a great part of their diversity, but what I didn't understand was that you don't apply straight to the PhD program. But no one explained to me that there was only 3 to 5 slots normally for a doctoral program, and those students are coming out of the master's degree, and they may put 1 in there for diversity's sake, but it wasn't going to be me because I didn't know anybody. I got admitted to the University of Tennessee, and I applied to the master's degree program, and the director there told me, do not apply to the doctoral program here because you're not going to get in. At least he had enough honesty about that to tell me that. I said, well, why not? I want to go for my doctorate. He says, you're not going to get in. He says, because we're not going to let you in. He says, we do everything that we can do to avoid academic inbreeding. So you're not going to get your master's degree here and your PhD at the same time. not going to happen. Well, I had never heard of anything like that in my life. I mean, but at least he gave me an honest answer, and they let me in there, and then they also let me in there with in-state tuition, like a reciprocal program from the University of Alabama and University of Tennessee. But then I was also admitted to this place, Springfield College. So they had a sports psychology program there. However, one of the people that I had been corresponding with on my senior project, they had something called an athletic counseling program, which was much more rigorous than sports psychology, and it was longer. Springfield College was in Springfield, Massachusetts. It was in the Northeast. Well, you know, this was a huge decision. This was big. And I'll be honest with you, if I had to redo it again, I wouldn't have gone. It was a tough road for me. And now the next chapter starts in my life. So I remember getting out the yellow pad, the legal pad, and I had the Springfield College on one side, University of Tennessee on the other side. And Springfield College was much more rigorous. The program director was, I felt at that time, would have given me a sort of an advantage going back out into the job market, because, you know, that person was so famous into the field. And then they had a sports psychology doctoral program there as well. And I knew the director of that program too. And I thought, well, perhaps I'll just segue, you know, despite what the University of Tennessee guy says, I don't think they feel that way at Springfield College. So for those reasons, I went to the Northeast of the United States, and I spent the next almost 4 years. I spent almost 4 years in graduate school at Springfield College, and let me tell you something, it was tough. I mean, it was tough. Now you say, well, what was so tough? I mean, it was college. How tough could it be? Yeah, it was. If you're 24 years old, you know, whatever, and you're from the Northeast and you know all about snow and driving in the snow and driving in. I had never driven in the snow. I hadn't seen snow in 35 years. I had no idea what this was going to be like. And the first winter I was there, I thought to myself, is it too late for me to get out of here? But I'm one of those people, you know, that get my fangs into something, it's not going to go away. So here I go again. Here I am in Springfield, Massachusetts. The first week I was there, I got robbed. Somebody broke into my car. I should have, you know, what was I doing? What was I thinking? I should have hightailed it out of there immediately, because I still had a year to accept that University of Tennessee deal. I am going to gut this out. Now that's all about tenacity and grit. It's just one of those things that is hardwired into my DNA. And I was going to get through this thing, and I did. So once I graduated, or once I finished with my master's degree at Springfield College, it was 2014, I went straight into their doctoral program. It was a different department. One was psychology and the other one was kinesiology. So I had been taking classes in the kinesiology department. I had taken most all of the sports psychology classes as electives from the athletic counseling. I had room to take some electives. So all of the electives I took were in kinesiology. Well, it was a big intra-war between the two departments, psychology and kinesiology. Didn't understand it, didn't care. Well, it would come to an end. Thank God. I couldn't get out of Springfield fast enough. I had arrived in 2012. I left there in 2016. But while I was at Springfield College, it was so expensive there. I took other classes from different schools. In fact, I took it from this school. I took one from this school up here, University of Texas. And then I also took some classes from on-campus schools around the area. One of them was this school here, University of Massachusetts in Amherst. I took an SEM class there, structural equational modeling. Interesting campus, to say the least. And I took a class from this school here, Westfield State University, and an adult psychopathology class. Fascinating. It was one night a week, and the professor was a riot. Loved that class. But then I took other classes from other universities, brought them into my Springfield College transcripts. So I came back down to Alabama in 2016 and opened my office right here in Birmingham. But the one thing I did before I left Springfield is I applied to this place. Yeah, you're seeing it right. Auburn University. Now you said, no, wait a minute. A Bama man going to Auburn? A Bama man going to Auburn. Right. You know why? Well, I had done a bunch of research at Springfield College. In fact, here is my thesis. Here is my dissertation. And my thesis got published in one of these, right? But I don't know anything really about international business. I had done some international business with Shot Savers, but not to the extent that I felt like I really needed to be at a position where I could advise a professional athlete on his business or her business dealings. I had really no experience with this. In other words, say if I was working with an athlete on their mental game, and we were progressing, and I had invested quite a bit of time into this person. They had invested their time and money with me. I had built a relationship with this person. Now they're getting ready. They need representation, but I had absolutely no idea how to do that. In other words, who's their agent? Perhaps it could have been me. It still could be me, but I didn't have any experience with that. Certainly didn't have any of the education. Well, Auburn had a top 10 online MBA program that mirrored exactly what the online or the on-campus students went through. So while I was finishing up at Springfield College, I applied at Auburn's MBA program, and I've been into it now for 2 semesters. It's a 4-semester deal in 1 summer. So I've been into it now for 1 academic year. I'm going into my 3rd semester in the fall of 2017. I hope to be finished with it by the end of fall of 2018. And the idea is, and still is my goal, as I continue to build my roster here in Birmingham, which I'm building my client list now of here in local people, then I'll be able to branch out via perhaps even this platform right here. Is why I'm doing this, coming to you via YouTube, and then build up a perhaps even an international client list of not just golf, because sports psychology is much more than golf. It's every sport. Not only that, it's also about business, and it's also about the performing arts. So anyone that has to perform cognitively, this is what performance enhancement is all about. Mental skills training. That's what this whole thing is all about. Now, my thoughts are I can have this MBA, or if I can finish this MBA, then I can couple the whole thing together and then act as an agency on my own for these young, perhaps international clients of mine. Somewhere down the road, we'll meet at the PGA show, soccer conference, football conference, baseball, basketball, at a performing arts teaching seminar, something that I'll cross paths with someone here, even on YouTube. I will cross paths with them. They're looking for what I have to offer them. Mental skills training with a sports performance coach or a performance coach, and then they also could use representation for their future business, for their future business dealings. That's my goal. That's my long-term goal right there. As far as the business and the performing arts consultation, that's a little bit different as opposed to, say, athletic counseling and sports performance coaching. I actually produced a CD one time here for Donovan Lyman, Blue Meridian band, many years ago when I was in the gym with Art. So, and then of course, then the shows that I produced with Extreme Golf TV gave me a little bit of insight in what it takes to be a performing artist, an actor, actress, stage performer, and musician. I mean, it's the same kind of pressure. Self-expectancy many times puts that pressure on someone, or perhaps once you make it at a certain level, the pressure from everyone else can cause a lot of anxiety. And so as a businessman, I understand that pressure as well. As a performing artist and being a producer, and I even did a bit of the performing myself in Extreme Golf Television, I understand the pressure that can come with those roles. So now I am in a position where I can advise someone not only on the counseling side of this, but also on the performance enhancement side, not only in how they're doing whatever it is they're doing, but also in the business aspects of it as well. So with my age now, my life experience, my professional experience, my educational experience now and growing, and then of course my athletic experience, this is what I call the triple layered consultant. So I've got 3 different areas covered that I can either advise or counsel an individual in their career choice. So the difference between, let's say, athletic counseling and sports psychology, athletic counseling is based in counseling. So let's say someone is having a problem in their sport, but it's got nothing to do with their sport, but the problem is negatively and detrimentally affecting their sport. So it could be a relationship problem. It could be they're angry at the coach, the playing time, something like that. So the counselor, then the athletic counselor, would then act as a normal counselor would in uncovering the problem and then trying to see and trying to get the client to understand the problem and how it's affecting their performance. And then on the road of self-discovery, seeing if the client can then come up with different ways and able to overcome the problem. You see, so it's really a road of self-discovery, counseling and self-discovery. Sports psychology is more theoretically based. So you have a litany of theories that are in sports psychology dealing with motivation and personality and anxiety and just, dozens of theories on why people either perform or they are not able to perform. And then through psychometrics, then you measure that and you come up with a hypothesis. You really need to, if you're going to hire me as your consultant or an athletic counselor, whether it be for yourself, one of your athletes, or somebody, your child, you need to sort of know who that person is. Who is this person? I need to know who they're dealing with. And when I wrote that book, that was from my experiences all the way up until 2007. Now you have the rest of the story from 2007 until 2017. For this decade, I've been in school now. 4 years my undergrad. I spent almost 4 years in Springfield College, and now I'm 1 year into my Auburn MBA. So I've been in college now for 9 years. But nevertheless, it's just a thing that I felt important to tell you in case you were in a situation where you had an athlete, or you are an athlete or a performer or a business person, that you needed to maybe unload some feelings, or you needed somebody to consult with to help you take your performance or your game to the next level. Hence, level 3 sports, from one level to the next. I have my own website, of course, a couple of different websites. Level 3 Sports is where I do all of I still sell a few golf training aids, but all of my consults are there. And then I'm set up this thing on this Patreon thing, and it's strictly for the YouTubers here. And these are just like mini consults, like 30-minute consults. They're not as comprehensive, let's say, as the consults that I have with my in-office class, because I don't time my clients here. In fact, I'll go out to the golf course with them, go out to the football stadium with them, and I don't have any time limits on them. But for my YouTube clients, let's say, my YouTubers out there, I've made these just like some little miniatures, little scaled down versions of a full-blown consult, and we'll do them with Skype. So you can check out that Patreon thing if you're interested in that. And like I said, I got these rewards set up where I'll read your emails. If you have questions, I'll read them off to you first. The free shirts, the whole thing is set up over there. So if you have any questions, just give me a shout on my email account, questions@richardtrammel.com. I'll get right back to you. And like I said, I enjoyed bringing that to you. It really brought back some memories for me, and I hope you enjoyed some or all of that. And I really look forward to meeting you all in the future, or some of you in the future. And if, like I said, if you have any questions, just shoot me an email and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Thanks again.